Hi, I'm Scott at ediblemusic.com. If you are recording or mixing a DI acoustic guitar, then you will quickly find that it doesn't sound very good. It might not sound the way that you want it to because it lacks that nice resonance that comes from the body of the guitar that you would hear if you had some space between your ears and the guitar and it kind of fills up the room a little bit. So what you might instead hear is some kind of plunky noises from the strumming or the picking on the strings, and you might lack that nice resonance. So there are some things that you want to do to try to fix up your acoustic guitar if it's recorded through a DI. And the first thing is to focus on that kind of plunky noise. Let's start with a compressor and turn the attack really fast, and the release will be quite fast as well because we're just going to be focusing on those string hits. And those happen pretty quickly, right? So you want to just focus on those. That's helping a bit. And there are a few small steps that you want to take in addition to this. Mixing an acoustic guitar that's recorded through a DI, it's hard to do everything all in one step in order to get it sounding great. You have to do just little bits at a time. So we've started here, we've tackled the string hits just a little bit. Now we can focus on them even more and on the tonality of the guitar using some EQ. Let's focus first on those string hits. And I don't know, how would you describe those? I use the word plunky, but that doesn't seem very adequate. How does it sound to you? Does it sound plasticky or something else? Let me know what a suitable word would be to describe it. But we're going to narrow in even more on that. And in doing so, you might need to make some more drastic EQ moves than you would normally want to. So I'm going to pull it down quite far here. I'm going to find another one. Yeah. Narrow up the cue just so that we're focusing on those frequencies. And I'll also pull up a low shelf to try to emphasize the resonant parts of the guitar. Even though there aren't as many, maybe we can bring out some. And you might find as you're EQing your guitar, or anything else for that matter, is that once you start to pull out some of the parts that are most distracting and most frustrating to the overall quality of the sound, that might reveal some other parts that you might want to have to fix. So even if you have one EQ filter that fixes up that part, that negative part or that frustrating part of the sound might have previously just been masking some other issues that are also part of the sound that weren't as apparent before you had made that initial fix. So we might want to find a little spot here in the mid-range and pull that down just a bit. Because to me that part became a little bit more apparent as we pulled out these higher frequencies. All right. Now let's just do a quick comparison between the two. Not bad so far, and there are a few more steps that I want you to try. I'm going to add a tape plugin, and I'm just going to use the Kramer tape from Waves, but whatever tape plugin you have will do the same thing. A tape plugin will have the effect of kind of trimming down those peaks. We're still kind of focusing on those strums a little bit here. It'll tamp them down and it will also kind of fill out the sound a little bit more at the same time. So if we feed it into tape, it saturates and compresses at the same time. Maybe a bit of noise, why not? Okay. And I like to add a chorus to my acoustic guitars most of the time. We'll see how that sounds as well. Not like that. We'll get it sounding better. Just pull the dry wet down a bunch. I'm gonna add the warmth to it. And now, after working on the strings, now we're focusing more on the resonant parts of the acoustic guitar. They're such a complex instrument because when you're listening to it, you're hearing both the sound of the strings being hit, but also the body of the guitar is producing that resonance. So it's like a combination of a bunch of sounds all at once. And in part, that's why you want to move little steps at a time when you're mixing a DI acoustic guitar. After this, I want to try experimenting something with you. I'm going to send it to a reverb. However, what I want to try to do is to emulate, in fact, that resonance of the body of the guitar. So if we have it on a reverb, I'll pull the pre-delay down and the size all the way down because the body of a guitar is much smaller than a room, of course, that would be producing reverb. And I'm also going to pull all the diffuse part of the reverb down and focus only on the reflections. We'll EQ out the higher frequencies of the guitar. Now let's add the diffuse part of the reverb back in just a bit. Not bad. Okay, let's hear it with all of these off. Turn the processing on. Let's try turning it on one at a time, actually, just to emphasize how the gradual change is here. That first compressor put us into a position to EQ more efficiently, so I've had to focus on the strings here, and on the bottom two filters we're focusing more on the resonant parts. And the Kramer tape, or whatever tape emulation that you choose, will have a further effect of making those strums a little gentler, and will also help the tonality of the guitar. Brings out some of the presence there. And the chorus also helps the resonant part of the guitar to spread out a bit before coming into this reverb. Pull that down just a bit. These are kind of fix-up steps to help make your DI guitar sound better. After this, you can go into the usual processing that you might want to try. I talked about a few of them in my quick tips list a couple of weeks ago, so maybe you can try some of those out too. Try this out.